time. We got some guys that's looking to put their hats in their name in the hats and hope to get their name called on that good old draft day. So we got a couple of guys that are entering the draft. I think Max Duggins is one of them. One of Russell's guys recently declared for the draft. Let me see who else.
Is Bubba Bolden coming out?
Bubba Bolden. I am not sure about Bubba Bolden. Um, I know
I
you.
really want a Bubba Bolden Bills
Yeah,
jersey.
you still talking about this shit, dog? Fucking
Dude,
bad.
if Bubba Bolden and Brew McCoy are perfect for what the Bills need right now.
Oh
They've got
God, here we
aging
go.
safeties. So
Here
they
we
got
go.
aging safeties, so they could really use Bubba Bolden. And they're still missing a good big body wide receiver that can actually do that on a consistent basis
You mean
because
like actually catch the ball?
yeah, because Gabe has proven to be
Hang
more
in
of a
there.
mirage and unreliable. So, Brew McCoy, between the
Yeah.
two of them, should be able to do it.
Like, yeah, I know. Yeah, I know the Gabe Davis struggles. I picked him up in fantasy, thinking that he was gonna be a very complimentary piece, and he has not. I mean,
He ain't got to say he ain't shit, bro.
yeah, I don't want to say that.
I will. He ain't done shit.
Even with all the drops he had, all he had to do was catch that pass Allen threw at the end of the Jets game, and he'd have freaking made his entire season.
How about the touchdown catch for in the Dolphins game? What about that one? Yeah, that one too,
Oh yeah, there's a ton that he's freaking been
bro.
breaking drops, but just the sheer like spectacle of that bomb that Allen threw on that situation, had he caught that and ran that into the
Right,
end
right,
zone,
right.
people would still be like freaking in ecstasy over that, not even realizing he dropped the next 10 passes.
Yeah, no, it's you're right. I mean, Gabe Davis has been underwhelming this year, and I do anticipate the Bills to be in the market for a wide receiver within the first two rounds of the draft. I just think it's necessary. But I think a lot of that stuff is going to unravel here in the coming months. And this is where I feel like my work particularly shines because that I love the draft. I love talking prospects. But yeah, no, the Bills are definitely in the hunt for wide receiver. But when we talk about guys that I'm excited about coming out this year, I think Will Anderson is one of the he's top of the list for me, man. He's a 243-pound, very reminiscent of like a Von Miller type, bendy around the edge, strong at the point of attack, and he's just a menace. Even though Alabama's defense hasn't been that good this year, but Will Anderson's the top defensive player in this class. I think we're looking at probably four uh, quarterbacks coming out in the first round. You got Bryce Young. I think Will Levis will be a first round pick. C.J. Stroud, and you might throw what's the kid's name from Florida, which I don't think
Anthony
he's
Richardson.
Anthony Richardson is another one. Yeah, so I think that's the top four in terms of quarterbacks. Running backs, we're still waiting on if Blake Corum's going to come out, but there's a couple good ones. Bijan
Mm.
Robinson, the kid from Alabama. So we'll see how it turns out. But I think this will be I don't know how it's going to stack up in terms of previous drafts, but I think we'll get more into that once we can really start digging in and watching the film and so forth. But it's turning out. It's going to shape up to be a pretty good draft. I just don't know the ceiling of it just yet.
What do you think is the deepest position in this class?
I'm gonna have to say right now. I'm gonna have to say wide receiver is really there's a lot of good wide receivers. It's between wide receiver and defensive line. You got a lot of defensive linemen. Like I said, Will Anderson is one of them. Jalen Carter from Georgia, Brian Breesy, Miles Murphy. These guys and Nolan Smith, and that's just five I just rattled off right there. So defensive line is really strong. If you're a team that is in need of a guy that could disrupt the passer, I mean, I think you're in. This is your draft. Not only do you have top end talent, but you're going to have guys that are day two picks that can come in and have a contribution day one.
How do you feel the value of the wide receiver position is going to evolve going forward? And what I mean by that question is in relation to like running backs. You know how all of a sudden running backs have completely, the market for them have crashed. Their draft capital is lower than ever. I mean, you really have to kind of have a generational talent to draft somebody in the first round. With wide receivers becoming far more common because every offensive or every college team in the country is throwing the ball all over the place, and you've got wide receivers growing on trees at this point. Is it one of those things where because everybody's passing, they're going to continue to be highly valued, or is it one of these things where ultimately there's so many of them, both in the league, in free agency, and coming up in every single draft class, that their value is going to start to drop alongside running backs?
Yeah, no, I think the wide receiver position will continue to. And a matter of fact, I think you're going to see teams start to take more wide receivers just because when you're paying guys like Stephon Diggs, Devontae Adams, and all these guys that kind of reset the market this past offseason, you're going to see teams that are going to want to come in, and get a guy early, right? Get a guy that can come in and contribute, and then you have them for that. If they're a first round pick, you got them for 5 years, right? So you're going to see a lot of that going on. I mean, we talk about this a lot on the show, but it was probably better for the Bills to draft Justin Jefferson than to pay Stephon Diggs, right? And that's okay. Both teams won,
Yeah.
but from a financial standpoint,
Yeah.
long term, it
From a
hurts
cold,
the
ruthless
Bills.
asshole perspective.
It hurts the Bills because you
Yeah.
have a cost control player for 5 years. Right now, Justin Jefferson's they're gonna pay for that. Don't you worry. That contract is gonna be astronomical, but you're gonna see wide receivers be drafted early and often. We saw what 7 in the first round last year, just about. You're going to see the same thing, and these guys are coming in. It's different how it was 10, 15 years ago. Now
Yeah.
these guys get drafted. They can come in and contribute day one because a lot of you're seeing a lot of these college offenses kind of evolve, and necessarily, and the NFL offenses in terms of a route running perspective, they're kind of meeting in the middle, right? So you're seeing guys that can come in and contribute right when they're drafted off the street.